Hello friends, how's it going? Welcome back to Let Spark. We're kicking off season 2, which is so exciting. If you're new here, my name is Ling and Let Spark is a weekly podcast where we talk about anything that inspires us to think. Right, kicking off the very first episode of our new season, I'm absolutely chuffed to be joined by Dr. Daria Lisaia. She's presently a researcher and designer. But previously, between 2019 and 2021, she held a post-doctoral position in urban planning and design at the School of Architecture, South China University of Technology. Notably, she spent the better part of 13 years, since 2010, living and studying in China. Her current research delves into historic city preservation and conservation, urban renovation, and socio-economic aspects of sustainable urban development in China and Russia. In our conversation, we dive into her academic journey, her fervour for architecture, and she offers a glimpse into her cross-cultural experiences in China, sharing the invaluable lessons she's gleaned along the way. Okay, before I start, a note to our listeners. This episode was recorded in 2022, so any references to time might seem a bit off. We really appreciate your understanding. Right, let's crack on then. Hello, Dalia. How are you?
Lynn, I'm so happy to hear you today morning.
Yeah, it's like 7 a.m. this morning. I'm very appreciate your time. Thanks for your time, and I'm really glad to talk to you this morning.
It's one of the best beginning for me of the week and of the day.
Oh, you're so sweet. Actually, Dalia and I met 1 year ago during a project about global young leaders. So at the time, we were visiting various parts of Guangdong, and I was very impressed by Dalia's knowledge of local culture and architectural history, which made me shape myself as a Chinese. But then again, she's so humble and she's so passionate when it comes to visiting historical buildings. So when I started this series of Seeking Your Passion, I thought you would be the perfect guest for me. So it's my honor and delighted to have a conversation with you today. So it's great to catch up with you again, Dalia.
Thank you so much. I also appreciate your interest, and I feel a little bit shy,
Oh, don't
but
be.
I'm very thankful for this opportunity to talk to you and to audience. Thank you.
So let's
Yeah.
start at the beginning of the story. So, Dalia, you are from Russia, but now you've been in China for 12 years since 2010. So, I wonder, we could talk about your study and life in China, but I want to start sort of at the beginning in Russia. So, you study architecture at the Technical University of Moldova for your bachelor's degree. So, why was there an interest in architecture at the time?
Actually, I'm the citizen of two countries since I was born in Soviet Union, and so my mom is Russian, I currently live in Russia, but I was born in Moldova, which was a part of Soviet Union, and then it's separated. So my father is from Moldova and mom from Russia, and yeah, I was born, and part of my life was in Moldova, and that's a little bit my background
Yeah, yeah.
why we are talking about Moldova. But yeah, my mother language is Russian, and I believe that yeah, a biggest part of my personality feels like I'm Russian. Um, First of all, I want to say that looking back on at all the events of my life, I think they had a faithful character. And for example, such as choosing a major or decision to come to study in China. The history of choosing a major and began before I was this story began before I was born.
Mm.
My parents were architects and worked at the Soviet Design Institute, which specialized in designing industrial architecture. And my parents worked at the same department that where they met and started this family. So in Soviet time, the profession of architect had to some extent an elite character. The elite character has expressed more in social and artistic significance of the profession than in its financial equivalent. My parents had a home library with books and magazines about architecture and great architects like you I don't know, probably some architects some people who are interested in architecture, they know these names like Le Corbusier, Brazilian architect Oscar Niemeyer, or Japanese architect Kenzo Tange, and so on. And also we had a lot of books related to art and art history. And all I love to come to my parents' work to look at huge sheets of drawings. They had huge sheets. They make these
Cool.
drawings by hand.
Mm.
And I love I love to watch how they doing this. It looks like something magnificent or some magic, because you have this white drawing, white sheet of paper, and then it became an architecture.
Hmm.
And also I like to watch this books of architecture. And at that time it looks, at the moment when I was a child, it looks like it's fantastic,
Hmm.
something fascinating. And I think that this is the environment uh, where I grew up, and it shaped my mind. And since childhood, I knew that I would become an architect. And also, after middle school, um, for 4 years, I studied in art college, oil painting, with one of the best teacher in Moldova. His name is Vyacheslav Bekitsky.
Hmm.
And that's why art is also the source of inspiration for me, even nowadays. I do not do drawings, but I love to think about art, and I like to come to art exhibitions.
Hmm. Wow, that's so cool. It's really great because you know from very beginning what you want to study and what you want or what are you passionate about. But there are a lot of people who go through life not knowing what they want. So others spend a lot of time studying something that has nothing to do with what they are currently doing. So like me, for example, I studied material chemistry for my undergraduate degree. I talk about like thousands time, but yeah. But generally, after that, I just exchange my switch my major to journalism. So how do you think people should balance what they've learned with what they are doing now?
This is a good question. And first of all, what I want to say that I met one very great scientist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the top level scientist in the world. And we had a conversation, and he said me that it's take a lot of time to build your own life.
Yeah, yeah,
That's true.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
uh, to become professional, you need to contribute a lot of time from your life.
Mm.
This is first. The second, I think every person need to constantly make analysis of your own skills.
Mm-hmm.
And because every person has something very strong, or supposed to be stronger than other skills.
Mm-hmm.
So that's this kind of talents. um, this is the first things. And the second, there is a current trends in the economic development and the country's development, that it's better to you need to be following.
Mm.
So it means that you need to meet the requirements of the society, of the country. So how can you use your talents and to meet the requirements, what is necessary for society, for
Mm.
economic development? So that's what I'm constantly thinking. So as usually, it's it's very good to be helpful to people. So that that's this is the balance. So to think about how to meet these requirements, it's quite difficult, I
It's
would say.
yeah, it's an excellent idea. But um, so how do you balance the financial part? Like you know your talents, and now you want to contribute into like society and help people. But how do you balance like all of this and the financial part?
I want to say that sometimes you need to be following some of the events in your life.
Yeah.
For instance, some people asking you to do something, and even it's not well paid, I think it will be better just help. Always in my life, when I help to someone, that knowledge which I received through this process, it always helped me in the future. Or you can meet some demands. It's somebody asking you to do this, so they are in demand. And yeah, it just need to be following all the situation. I have a feeling like this because when I'm looking back at my life, um, I was somehow following the situation. it's I had a plan, but it was also some somebody invited me to participate in some projects, or I asked, can I help you, or somehow. So it just I think that environment also give you some chance to do this. So I think that need to catch this chance.
All right.
Just open your ears, open your eyes, and you will be like you will understand where to go. Sometimes it's not really clear, but I think that you can see that you can feel it in a certain moments.
Got it, got it. So I think what you said is quite inspiring, and I think it will be very helpful, especially for the younger generation. So, back to your journey of study. So, after graduating from the Technical University of Moldova, Dalia, you study at the Northwestern Normal University in China for your master's degree. So, why did you choose to study in China for your master's degree?
Oh, so after graduating from Technical University of Moldova, I will, as well as 2 years of study at the Voronezh University of Architecture and Civil Engineering. I did that together. I mean, I I think 1 year I studied in Moldova, then 2 years in Voronezh in Russia, and then 2 years in Moldova. So altogether 5 years for my bachelor degree. And after I graduated university, I worked as an architect for 2 years, and my family and as well as I understood that I need to continue my postgraduate studies. At the time, my family's friend's son studied in Shanghai, and he really liked China and the city of Shanghai. And his mother was she shared with me this experience, and she said, "Wow, he loved China." But we knew little about Chinese development at that moment. It was really like not many people knew about China, and China was quite far away from us. I mean,
Yeah.
from Moldova, Europe is very close, but China is quite far. So this idea was quite interesting for me. The idea to come to China and try to apply for the scholarship in China. It was like, wow, let's do that.
Why not? Yeah.
And in 2010, Ministry of Education of Moldova announced that the Chinese government will provide 10 scholarships for Moldavian citizens to study the master program in Lanzhou, and I decided to try, but there were little time left for collecting all the documents, and I quickly collected all of the necessary documents and handed it over to the Ministry of Education on the last day and at the last hour. And in my heart, I had a feeling that I will get this scholarship, even through there were about 200 applications, because
What?
I
Yeah.
saw this
Why?
whole. Do you know, when I come, I was
Yeah.
the last one, so they put me my folder on the top of it. Was like
A
very
pass of
so
five.
many.
Yeah.
Yeah. um, and that's meaning a feeling. I had that feeling, and I waited for, I think 6 months is I waited for this decision, for the invitation, and finally I got it. It was amazing,
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
I think I received this wonderful and for my life faithful opportunity to come to China to study, and you know, at that moment I didn't know any word in Chinese. It was kind of very special experience,
Come on, girl.
and
You can do that.
uh, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, in La in Lanzhou, the scholarship included 4 years of study. The first year I studied Chinese, and then 3 years studied master program. This scholarship didn't allow us choosing a city or in university. We could choose a specialty from the list that were offered to us by the host university, which was the Northwest Normal University. And this university had a school of arts, and I chose graphic design because the other majors to choose from were oil painting or
I
Chinese
see.
painting, and I previously studied oil painting in order. So my first education, as I told you, was oil painting. That's why I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe I should not take it, because I had that experience in my life. But Chinese painting was too difficult because I didn't speak Chinese, and to study Chinese painting without understanding literature and philosophy, I think it's a little bit strange way to start, especially in for master. So, and that's why graphic design was actually the most,
The best choice, maybe,
the
at the
best choice
time.
on that
Yeah.
moment, because it's connected with architecture and art, which I studied before. And but actually, for me, for that moment, the most important was not to study major or study something like professional skills, but to focus on Chinese language, because Chinese language is so difficult. I think it's better to start to learn from childhood
Oh,
than at the moment when I came here. I was 26 years old.
okay.
It was not easy work.
Okay. But you can speak like I think because we talked in Chinese a bit before, so I think you can speak proper Chinese and Mandarin. I think you are doing fine.
I'm working now on three languages.
Okay. So how's
Yeah, it's
going? Yeah.
for instance, in my work, I need to study the documents in Chinese. I need to do research in Chinese, and even my pronunciation probably not the best one, but um, I can do research in Chinese.
Oh, that's
In
cool.
my major, I can do that.
But you know what? I don't think the pronunciation is really important. You know, especially for the starters or who for anyone who want to study Chinese at the beginning. I think that yeah, the pronunciation is less important one. So Don't
I can
worry
tell
about
you,
this
I
part.
think
Yeah, go ahead.
I am very thankful for Chinese, for all Chinese who was around me all this time, because no one person laughed on me. This is amazing. Do you know? Even sometimes when I spoke Chinese and
Mm-hmm.
I saw that probably I said something not correctly,
Oh, don't
and
worry
I
about
saw that
that.
the person with whom I'm talking, his eyes became a little bit bigger.
You can see the reaction, but
Yeah, I see that there's something going wrong.
I think maybe sometimes some pronunciation may confuse us, but once we understand you, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's why I'm very thankful, because if somebody will laugh on me, probably I will stop learning Chinese.
yeah.
But not at this moment, because I'm already 12 years using this language.
Mm-hmm.
But at the very beginning, that will stop me for sure.
Mm. Anyway, so I think you can do it better and better, and because you work so hard, and I think you will be fine with the Mandarin and everything. All right, so based on your academic experience, you must have been very passionate about architecture because later, after your master degree, you applied for a PhD in architectural engineering at the South China University of Technology. So, what inspired you to continue with your PhD at the time?
Yeah, I at the moment when I came to China,
Yeah.
I didn't think that I will do PhD in my life. I came for master degree. But when I finished my study at the master's program, I realized that first I want to study architecture,
Mm,
and I missed my favorite specialty.
mm,
I want to do architecture. That 4 years of disconnection with the architecture just show me up that this this what I want to do.
mm,
I want to do the work related to architecture.
mm,
And the second, I felt that I wanted to continue deepening my knowledge and research skills,
mm,
because master program provide you some knowledge, but always sometimes I felt like it's not enough. And I uh, in winter, 1 year before I graduated, in winter I passed HSK, because it was one of the requirements
mm,
to pass HSK 5. It means 汉语水平考试,
mm.
and
Great,
this
great.
exam is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2014, I came uh, to Guangzhou, South China University of Technology, School of Architecture. I knew that it's one of the top 5 architectural schools in China. And I asked, may I submit my documents for the scholarship? And I met one teacher. Her name is Long Lao Shi.
Mm,
I met her in university town, and she was so nice, because she said, since you already studied in the government scholarship, so you need to wait 1 year,
mm,
otherwise you would not be able to get it.
mm,
And I was thinking, oh my God, 1 year to wait, so definitely I will not come back to do the PhD,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because nobody wants to spend time in university, since if you found a job and you get some money, it's it's so difficult to go back to university, to this, not like you have scholarship, but the money is not like
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
as
yeah.
salary.
Mm,
And I was thinking, oh my God, if I will wait 1 year, so that definitely will not happen. And she stopped me on the door and she said, oh, we have another one scholarship. It's from
wow.
South China University of Technology,
Mm-hmm.
and it's smaller. But I was thinking, oh my God, I need to catch this moment. That's what I'm talking about. You just need to catch
The chance,
the the
maybe.
chance, yes. Then I studied hard, and the university find a way to support me. I also submitted for the scholarship of Guangdong province government, and they gave me an next year. So I
Mm-hmm.
just want to say that even it looks a little bit worse than something else, but it giving you chance. I
Mm.
think it's important to catch this chance. So I submitted the documents, and I got the scholarship for doing the PhD, and I was like super happy because and then I came to this wonderful school of architecture. It has a beautiful old building, and I wanted to do research in urban design because I always loved that.
Mm.
And I asked one professor. That moment he was not a dean of a school of architecture. His name is Professor Sunimin,
Mm.
and in 1 year he became a dean of the school of architecture.
Cool, cool.
But yeah, he was my supervisor,
Mm.
supervising professor,
Mm-hmm.
and that was amazing chance. I mean, open a little bit door to your dream, and then something, and more doors will be
Mm-hmm.
open.
Mm-hmm.
That's my feeling.
That's
So
great.
it was right decision.
Yeah, that's
Even
great.
at the beginning, it was quite hard because
Mm-hmm.
I have to find some finance to support me during the first year because money was quite little.
Mm-hmm.
But then university helped me a lot. If they see that somebody studying hard, they give you some opportunities to finish your research.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, it's an amazing story to me actually, and I think you are so determined, and you just come to maybe just walk a little bit long journey, and but you come back to what you want and what you like. It's amazing. It's amazing, and
Yeah,
I
it's a long
yeah,
journey.
yeah. a bit long, but yeah, but I think you just capture your own chance and opportunity, every opportunity just over there. So I think it's a great. But I got one idea here. Like I think for the younger generation, you have to like prepare for yourself, like once the once the chance and opportunity over there, you have to make sure yourself like well prepared to take this opportunity and the chance to do what you want, right? You have to well prepared yourself. So I think that's the key point. Like Dahlia, actually you just said you just very lucky and capturing the chance. Actually, you work so hard and you have very your own like very wide knowledge about the architecture. That's the reason why you can get the chance. You got the yeah, you know you got the entrance into the university. So I think that's very important. All right. So during your PhD,
Yeah,
mm-hmm,
I want to add something.
yeah,
I think that for young people, they
mm-hmm,
need to understand something very special.
mm-hmm,
And I think it's reputation. It's built it from very beginning, from the school. They built like it's brick by brick. It's just building step by
yeah,
step
yeah.
the reputation. And if you have a really good reputation in school, you will find better chance in universities, and more people will be give you chance to do some
Exactly.
volunteer work. They will invite you to participate in some events, and if you're doing well in university, you will get a chance to go to master program during the bachelor time.
Mm-hmm.
You can will have probably even invitation to do the master study in a continued master study.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing really well master study, professor may invite you to do the PhD because they need some very very hard working students. So that's about reputation, I think.
Yes, yes, exactly. So just work harder and harder, young people. All right, so Dalia, so during your PhD in 2018, I think, in your research article, History Matters Chinese Urbanization as an Emergent Space, what I found interesting is that it gives me like very new perspective on the history of China and its development from a point of view of the process of urbanization from 1840 to 2017. So, could you please tell us a bit more about this piece of research?
I will give a little bit more background of
Yeah,
this paper.
yeah.
So, oh, as usually when you're doing PhD or doing master program, you're writing thesis, and this thesis has collecting a lot of materials, research materials,
Mm-hmm.
and as one of the requirements of the school, if you want to graduate, so you need to publish papers.
Yeah.
That means, that means that topic which you're doing research is relevant,
Mm-hmm.
that it's not something not which is already out of date, because the publication is became the, provide this evidence.
Mm.
And the second, it's not just your professor, but also some people from outside, like editors, journal editors, or reviewers.
Mm.
They are looking at your manuscript, and they read it and they see this is the topic. Okay, the topic is good, and then you have the aim of study, you have methodology, you have discussion, and so on. And they going through your paper and they believe, oh, that's all, everything is good,
Mm.
and that's why they agree to publish in their journal. So that's very important. And so what I want to say, that this article was a part of my research, and my research for almost all my research life, like 8 years, is sustainable urban development in China and Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And this topic is everybody probably heard about sustainable development. So it's a very big topic and covers all aspects of human life,
Mm.
like social, economic,
Mm.
and also the relationship between all human being, all people, and nature. That's very important relationship. But my focus is social economic aspects of sustainable urban development.
Mm-hmm.
And the concept of sustainable development takes into account the interconnections of various aspects with each other. So there are a lot of things which we need to consider.
Mm.
And that's why at the very beginning I need to find something which where I will start, the starting point
Mm.
for research. And uh, first of all, I need to define the starting point and then systematize all aspects that related to the regional, territorial, and urban planning. So it's different scales. Like there is a national level, then there is a regional level, like for instance, South China or
Mm.
something. Then there is a smaller scale, like province, and then there is a let's say Great Bay Area or something like that,
Mm.
and it's territorial level, and then you have city level, and then you have district level. So all these scales, they connected to each other, and they have main tasks, and you need to understand how this main task, which defined by government, you need to distribute all these levels, and then how to define which task is more important and which is less important,
Mm.
because every region has very specific features. And that's what was my study about. And to understand social economical trends in society and in the world, you need to study the process of urbanization.
Mm.
That's what I defined. So this, when I start to study the process of urbanization, it gave me opportunity to understand the social economic changes which taking part in the country, for instance, China or Russia, and in the world, because every region has its own specific way of making the urbanization. This state policy can find solutions for social economic issues by using different tools, and one of them is regulating the process of urbanization to improve the structure of country's settlement system. It's a little bit complicated.
Yeah, a bit.
So, for instance, I can give you one example. China, um, you know that at the beginning of 20th century, China was agricultural country, and
Yeah.
there were not many cities in China because the population was distributed. They used to live in the villages and in the clan villages, like in South China. The most of the cities were concentrated in the north part of China, and less cities were in the South China. Well, for instance, you should know that first city in China was Guangzhou. It got this status in 1918. So before that, all the cities which we know, and we call them cities, they were actually the centers where the government was. It like Guangzhou, Guangfu government was in Guangzhou. So this is very interesting because it was completely different way of distribution of these settlements in the country. So China was little urbanized before 1978, before these reforms and economic reforms and opening policies
Yeah.
was began by Deng Xiaoping, and that was very important to understand that for urbanization give a chance to to the country to to make the economic growth, because the concentration of the people in the cities provide more economic opportunities to country. But at the same time, it has a lot of problems. It creates some
Yeah,
problems.
it was.
And United Nations and other leaders, they define that they recognize that we have some good opportunities which provide by the urbanization process, but it has also consequences. So if urbanization is spontaneous, which is not regulated by government, it creates a lot of problems. It gives some economic input, but it also has some problems. And at the very beginning in 1980s, for China, it was very special moment. They provided some policies related to the to Hukou and some economic development area, and they gave to people opportunity to come to the cities, but they didn't know that urbanization will have such a great rate. They didn't know that. Shenzhen was not expected to be so big city. No one had one idea that these cities will grow so big. At 40 years ago, no one had this idea. And that's why they actually didn't know. They didn't have these tools to make this process like really great regulated. So somehow this process was spontaneous. But then it was regulated. It was regulated, but not as good as it was started in 2014. In 2014, government accepted new type urbanization plan from 2014 to 2020, it set up certain goals, principles, and mechanism for regulating urbanization. And now I know that it's really hard to see for the people who are not in who not understand the urban development, but I can see very clearly. First of all these policies are working perfectly, and the second is you can see that urbanization had a much higher quality. So, for instance, I can give you example. In Guangzhou, before some factories areas, they were distributed all around the city. Now they moving the all industry in a certain places, which calls industrial parks, and they use these previously occupied by factories places by providing some green spaces or building some residential blocks or some social services facilities. So that's this urbanization process in China turned to the much more higher quality level in 2014.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
this
Yeah.
paper was very interesting for me to write. I mean, this is one of the basic process which when you will study it, you will understand what's going on in the country.
I do think so. And actually, you also mentioned in this article that from like 1949 to 1978, the Soviet model like helped China's urbanization considerably. But of course, you also mentioned that there were many like drawbacks, can I say that, to the application of this model of China at the time. And you analyze it in detail. So, how do you see current development of urbanization in China and Russia? Please just give us like a very brief analyze, I think.
I want to say, first of all, China and Russia are the largest countries in the world.
Yeah.
That's what we need to recognize. And when I did this comparison analysis between these two countries, and it was amazing for me because you can't compare Chinese urbanization with any other countries except the largest countries in the world. How can you compare it even with Moldova, which is my country? Yeah, it has 3 million people, or with some small countries in Europe. You can't compare them because Chinese urbanization has like huge scale. I mean, it's uncomparable. And it was good to compare it with Russia because Russia has a huge territorial scale, and the population, even population is almost 10, it's about 9 times less than in China, but somehow these scales are comparable. That was this is interesting. And what I think about China and Russia. So first of all, mm, Russian urbanization happened before Chinese. So in China, in Russia during the Soviet period, which was from 1917 to 1989, urban population grew from 15 to 74%. So at on 1989, so it was 30 years ago, our urban population was 74%, which is already very high urbanization rate. So it means that urbanization almost finished. Um, and Russia had 600 cities. Oh, no. Russia during the Soviet time it built 600 cities. So altogether it has 1,100 cities, something like that. But if we will look at China, so in 1974, 78, urban population was about 18%. So do you see the difference? At the same time, when in Russia, population was about 70%, 60 something at the beginning of 80s, 1980s. So in China, it was 18%. And over 40 years, it's increased for now it's about 59%. So it grew 40%. But I mean that 40% in China, it's a huge population. Huge.
Yeah,
You should
yeah,
understand.
yeah.
I mean, it's almost all our population, even more.
I know.
So that's why
Mm.
um, it has amazing rate, and it was very fast.
Mm.
And the Chinese, I want to also to say that in 1978 in China there were 193 cities, and now in the data for 2017 is 657 cities. Do you understand what I mean? Y-
Yeah, what does it
You
mean?
have more uh, in China. There are 400 more, about 400 new cities. It means it was not built from scratch. It
Mm.
was probably town which grew to the scale of the city. Um, and very interesting that we have different scale of what means the small city, middle city, and large cities.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So for us, small city is about 50,000 people to 100 people, while in China is 500 people. So
Yeah.
it's
I
no,
see the difference.
the scale is different.
Yeah.
For instance, for China, for Russia, the large cities are 1 million, more than 1 million people. So for China, it's more than 10 million people.
Yeah.
This is different.
Yeah, yeah.
um, the so during Soviet time in Russia, urbanization was planned. This is important. And after Soviet Union collapse, it has spontaneous character.
Mm.
But in China, at the very beginning, I'm not talking about time between 1950s and 1978 because that was controlled.
Mm.
That was controlled. And but after 1978, at the very beginning, this urbanization was spontaneous up to the 2014. But I think it's a little bit early, like it started to be controlled even earlier. But the plan, new urbanization plan, it set up certain special criteria for the urban development. So that's why it's just a very important moment for Chinese urban development. So it has spontaneous character, but now it's really planned.
Mm.
And I think for Russia, it has also new step now. It also became more focused on not just on the big cities, but um, now the emergent issue is to control and to balance the rural development and urban development.
Mm.
So that's what's going on in Russia and in China as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Because at the past, many people moved to cities, but because life in the countryside didn't have so many advantages. Like there were a lack of educate good
Mm-hmm.
education, of good health
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
support, and so on. But now government focusing on providing all the social services for for the people in the countryside, and
Mm.
how to balance and this development between rural areas and the urban areas, and how to connect them together, that it will work together as a
Mm.
very strong point.
Mm. It's very interesting. Well, so I met Dahlia, like I told before, like when she was a postdoctor at the South China University of Technology back in 2021. By the way, congratulations! Now you are complete this journey of study. So I'm curious, like as to why you would want to continue with your postdoctoral study then after your PhD.
That's what I said, that you need to be following somehow the situation. And when I passed my PhD defense,
Mm-hmm.
I was really happy, and I'm very thankful to my supervising professor, Sunimin. It's I want to say that during master program, maybe a professor is important, but during PhD, professor is the most important person in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Without your supervising professor and his guidelines, you would never. It's very difficult to finish PhD and pass the defense. um, I want to say that then another one professor from my school, Professor Zhang Chunyan, she's amazing. She's just so great professor and researcher and scientist and
Mm.
practical architect. She asked me if I would like to do postdoc research in university, and I felt like, wow. I think that's a
Yeah, yeah.
great chance to me, because I knew that even you're doing PhD research, you know that your skills are still not deep enough.
Mm-hmm.
You have to continue to learn about
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
research process. And I said, yes, I would like to do this. And if in during PhD study, I do research in what I said, sustainable urban development, but with the focus on innovation development. So I
Yeah.
studied the scientific cities and the innovation centers, how to build them and integrate in the urban in urban fabric and urban tissue of the city.
Yeah.
So during the postdoctoral research, since Professor Jansh is doing research in historic city preservation in Guangzhou,
Mm.
and I was thinking, oh my God, that's what I want to do, because I always like to learn about. I always like these historical areas,
Mm.
and
Mm.
it always confused me when during the urban development these areas just were destroyed.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then I was thinking, oh, that's
Oh
what I
no.
want to do.
I think in your research article, morphological and physical characteristics of the historic urban fabric and tradition streets of Xiguan in Guangzhou, you said that the value of heritage and urban characteristics become the source of the revival of local identity and cultural traditions. So I'm just wondering, why did you say that?
We need to recognize that at different at different period of time
Mm-hmm.
in like in the history, and nowadays we have different type of the settle of the housing and environment.
Mm-hmm.
And for China, oh my God, I when I was looking at some documents of UNESCO, I found out that China has one of the largest amount of the heritage World Heritage sites.
Mm.
If you know that, I don't know.
I
So
did,
China
yeah.
has a lot of heritage. Unfortunately, during the urban development, it has been lost, some of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why it's difficult difficult problem, and why it's so emergent to keep these places as they were, because when society developed over years or centuries, it's important that it will be continuous evolution of this society. It should be continuously developed, and we need to remember what how people in the past used to live. So all these historical areas, they became a source of knowledge, technical knowledge, different types of the knowledge about the past.
Mm.
And that's why it's so important to have this authentic buildings, because they give us understanding what kind of materials people use in the past, how the method of construction, typology, and so on. We can see the who built these buildings, the wealthy people or the poor people. And
Mm-mm.
so that's many things which we can see through these historical buildings. And if they destroyed, so we just losing this chance to learn about the past.
Mm.
That's why I think it's very important to have opportunity uh, to develop the areas not by destroying everything and build everything new, but have this evolutionary type of development when you step by step modernize these historical areas, which is able to people who are like we are to
Mm-mm.
to use these areas nowadays, and make them livable and vital,
Mm.
economically vital, culturally vital, socially vital. So that's, from my point of view, um, it's something which we need to work together. It's a government and society and
Yeah.
experts. All of us, we need to take responsibility for these areas
Mm.
and give them opportunity to survive, even in high pressure of economical development. So that's what my feeling, and why me and Professor Zhang Chunyan, we wrote this article and published it.
So could you please like use this study as an example, like give us your views on how to balance modern development and the conservation of history and culture?
Um, yeah, I took an case of study. It was Yongqingfang community in
Mm-hmm.
Liwan district in Guangzhou. And at the very beginning, government decided to redevelop that area. It was in 2000s, and they demolished some areas. But
Mm-hmm.
then society decided, some experts and people from Guangzhou, they said, please leave. Let's keep this area as it is, because Guangzhou has very very special historical city for
Mm.
China. It's a famous historic city in China. So there is uh, it has a status. The government gave this status for Guangzhou because it's his history going back to 2000 years. Um, and some people, they just said they want to keep these areas, and the government just stopped all these projects, and they
Mm-hmm.
were looking for the way how to renovate um, these historical areas in Liwan district, and also how to attract investments, because urban development always needs investments. It's about
Mm-hmm.
money. And if you will have an opportunity to go to Yongqingfang, I think it will be nice to visit. But another one case I want to share with you.
Mm.
Um, During my research, I visited just like few places around the Guangzhou because it was the COVID time. But when then I knew about the Nantou
Mm.
in Shenzhen, actually where I am now.
Mm. Wow, cool.
And this is very interesting project as well, because first of all, it's larger scale than Yongqingfang.
Mm-hmm.
Yongqingfang now they have the second stage, but
Mm-hmm.
at the very beginning it was quite small area,
Mm.
and we supposed to go there together, but since it was
Yeah, yeah,
COVID,
yeah, yeah. It's kind of pity.
because
Yeah.
yeah, it was closed for that moment.
Yeah.
So then for this, it's also the project Nantou,
That's so
and I
cool.
found out this project is amazing. First of all, this is also I forgot to tell you that Yongqingfang is first project which was implemented in following the policies Wei Gaizao. It's micro
Ah.
renovation.
Uh.
So Chinese government, not Chinese government, but in Guangzhou, the government of Guangzhou, they decided that for these historical valuable places, they need to implement another type of the renovation. It
Mm-hmm.
calls micro renovation. So it's just small interventions instead of the big uh, demolition and new construction, large
Mm-hmm.
scale demolition and demolishing and large scale construction. No, it
Mm-hmm.
was implemented these micro renovations, which allow to keep these small historical buildings, which are small, and
Mm-hmm.
demolish just those which are really in the bad conditions and has no historical values, and
Mm.
to renovate these places and bring them back to the urban life. And the same happened in Shenzhen. This project even more interesting because actually this Chenzhongcun, it's urban village, and
Mm-mm.
the scale is big, and the city, it's a historic town which is also traces back like 1,400 or 600 years ago, and it
Mm-mm.
was a center of this local government. And then in 2000s, the local villagers start to build these buildings, and they turned down their historical buildings and they build this new buildings,
Yeah.
by
It's kind of.
themselves, like 3, 4, 5 story buildings. But this place looks very interesting because
Mm-hmm.
the renovation project is more focusing on the main streets, and the areas which are not in the main streets, they are still keeping all these people, local people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really cool. I mean, you can feel this social mix, and not just young people, artists were attracted here, but also many locals are still here, and we live in this special environment.
Mm.
I think that's really
That's
cool.
so cool. So I'm wondering your opinion on like how to balance the re-innovation and commercialization in this area like Yongqingfa, Nantou Guzheng, and all of this kind of historical areas.
Um, First of all, you know that the traditional way is to maybe come to some places, demolish the previous buildings, and build
Mm-hmm.
buildings higher, 2, 3 times taller, and that's how to make this mm, money.
Mm,
But
yeah.
in the historical areas, I think it's much more related to the reputation of uh, of the company, because I don't think that this project is about profit. I don't
Mm,
think that it will be a high. The company will make like really high profit from
yeah.
this redevelopment programs. I think they trying to meet the requirements of the government, because government find looking for the way to keep these historical areas.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, because this program projects just started. So Yongqing Fang has maybe from 2016. It's 5 years, and the Nantou Gucheng, it just like has 1 year about after the construction finished, and I think that let's see how it will go on. uh, it's just something very special and something new for China,
All
for
right.
Chinese urban development.
Okay, cool. So thanks for sharing your idea. Before we move to the next part, I think I got one more question on the academic part. So, how do you think your perspective on architecture has changed from undergraduate to master's to PhD, postdoc, and now to working in related industries?
Um, I think it's different skills of the research, and
Mm-hmm.
you have different capacity at different stages. So when you do the bachelor, you just have this very basic technical skills.
Mm-hmm.
You just understand what is architecture about. So as usually bachelor students by itself, they have no instruments to develop their knowledge by themselves. That's why they need to go to the master studies, because actually the current situation in the world, it's required that we will constantly upgrade our knowledge. And those who are studying in bachelor in university, they have limited capacity to do this because they don't have these tools, that they don't have this knowledge. During master program, you have opportunity to learn them, but very basic. Then during PhD, you have more opportunities to help. You have more tools to do research. So actually, PhD candidate, they are studying about that, and when they get this degree, they able to constantly upgrade their knowledge and create new knowledge. So actually PhD should be on the front line of the knowledge development. And then postdoctoral research, it gives even more opportunity to do this research and to make your skills even stronger. And when you're doing the research, actually it takes quite a lot of time, and you need to make some, as I told, the new knowledge. And it's quite time consumption, and it has more theoretical background than a practical application. But when you come to work to companies, so companies need research. That's very important. How to connect this theoretical research with the practical projects. And what I feel during the work in the company, so they need more faster to do research in the more faster way, and to find solution which can be practically implemented. So it's just not theoretical, theoretical some conclusions and solutions, but more practical, which can be faster to implement in the project.
Okay, so talking about the implication of your maybe your studies and your research and this kind of stuff, I think yeah, Dalia, now you are a researcher and Urbanisaya at a research institute, as you mentioned before. So why did you choose this institute?
That's what I said before, that I did research in this area and I found out that it's doing something very special for China, for Chinese real estate
Yeah.
market. I never expected to see that, and it was not in my plan before to work in real estate company. But since I saw these two projects and they inspired me, I was thinking, oh my God, that's really cool that this company is investing in and learning and doing some projects which are very special for Chinese heritage protection and preservation.
How's your daily work like over there, like in this institute as a researcher?
I do study a lot of documents. I'm trying to understand the situation in the site and find the right solution for the specific site. It's just like uh, reading a lot and writing.
Oh, cool. So how do you see the difference between like working in a company and doing research at a university? Because you are work as a research as well. Like, so what's the difference?
That we need to find some examples which are for specific site, and the best solution for the specific project. That's like the project is going a little bit in the faster way. It just the timeline is shorter than in university. I think
Yeah.
that was because in university you need to publish articles, and these articles they take like months, sometimes. I mean, you can do some other work, but you constantly going back to these articles. And in when you're working in the projects, you need to focus on specific problem and to solve this problem in the best way.
So, so Dalia, I think you're quite busy. I think since you work in this institute, so I'm just wondering what's your time management style? What how do you balance your life and work?
I'm not good on this.
Really, really.
No, we discussed that before. That yeah, I'm trying to set up some timeline
Yeah,
and
yeah, great, great.
some schedule for
Mm-hmm.
myself. But if I'm not satisfied by my research results, so it will take time, and sometimes it takes even night.
Oh, wow.
I'm not the best example. First of all, I'm working three languages. Yeah, that's the issue. So that's actually quite the same in university and in research institute, because if we have some difficult task and if I need to read a lot of materials and then write,
Mm-hmm.
so since this information is so complex, because we need to consider a lot of things, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of aspects, a lot of background things, and future development trends. So I do this writing in Russian because that's easier for me to put these all thoughts together, and then I need to translate in Chinese and or
Oh,
in English,
oh
and that's
dear.
why it takes me a lot of time.
Yeah,
But and I also need to read in Chinese and read in English, because like local documents, there's usually on Chinese, and
yeah.
we need to study the international experience, which is in English. So
Oh,
that's quite time
time
consumption
consuming. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
consuming.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. I totally
it's
understand
consuming as
now.
well.
Yeah.
It's just take a lot of time. So my example is not the best one. Maybe someone doing that more faster.
Oh, come on. I think, yeah, the translating stuff is really time consuming. Yeah, now I totally understand why you are so busy, you know. All right, so,
Because
so,
it's
mhm.
you need to balance all these things, like there is a local experience and you have international experience, and you need always to understand what is new coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
You have to keep you like most updated, the know the most updated information, right? And you have to know like English, Chinese, and Russian. Yeah, I get it. I get you now. All right. So, what are your future career plans?
um, I was lucky, then I always had in some something to do in my life. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's important. And about the career, it's so difficult to say what will be next, since you see that
Mm-hmm.
pandemic situation and
Yeah, yeah,
many things going on in the world. So now I think it's very difficult to make any plan. I think um, what is my task is every day to do my work as best as possible.
mm. Yeah.
Um,
I think it's a good strategy, you know, because everything changes, and you just focus on what you are doing. That's a good strategy. Yeah. But
how to
if
do that the other way. I did some plans before, but it never works.
but if you want like a future plan, that would be nice. But I didn't say like it's very bad. Like you don't have one. I think it's a good strategy. Just focus on what you are doing now. Yeah, it's great.
At this moment, it's very turbulent time. I mean, nobody knows what will be
Yeah,
next.
yeah, yeah. Totally agree. So after talking about like your career, your work experience, let's move to your cross cultural life. So, like I talked before, you have been studying and living in China for 12 years, and China has changed and developed a lot over the years. So, how Like, have your views on China changed?
I'm so happy that I came in 2010,
Mm,
and now I see the d- the step which the effort which Chinese government and Chinese society have been done for these 12 years. Because first of all, I arrived to Lanzhou, and Lanzhou that time in 2010 it just started to develop.
mm,
It was some places was even the village type of the places, and especially the district where my university was located, Annin district. It just started this renovation, redevelopment, and regeneration projects. And I saw the local people and what conditions they had before,
mm,
and especially about Gansu province. I visited some villages and I saw that people didn't have access to water. They didn't have like really good
mm, mm,
education.
mm,
And Qinghai province, it was why. It was really hard life for those people because
mm,
um, I never had the idea how difficult it is to live without water. So some people in these villages they need to go down to hill to
to
take
get
the water
water. Yeah.
and pick it up to their houses every time when they need it. So I saw that step by step China build they build the roads, they provide better education opportunities to the people in the villages and the cities. I saw how many people with even with the water they build a lot of water tunnels
Mm,
in the mountains, and so I saw an example of Lanzhou, which
mm,
is really easy to see the difference in these years, and how many people they had the opportunity to buy their own apartment and receive very nice education
mm,
and so on. So I think even some people may be not 100% satisfied by what's going on, but from my perspective, in such huge country which is China is, with so the largest population in the world, I think that was enormous effort, and I think it's a great result.
mm. Great, great. So, as you mentioned before, so is Lanzhou the first city you arrived in China?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was.
Okay. So, do you still remember? So, what's the biggest cultural shock was when you first arrived in Lanzhou?
Oh my God, that was amazing. First of all, my grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
when I was a child, she bought to me a book which calls Chinese fairy tales, and it has a beautiful illustrations with the mountains, with the green mountains, like in
Mm-hmm,
Wei.
mm-hmm.
And I had the feeling like all China is like Wei.
Okay,
And
okay.
then when we arrived to China, we were four girls flying from Moldova, and
Mm-hmm.
we first arrived to Beijing, and then we had the flight, take a flight from Beijing to Lanzhou. And since we were very tired, so we slept all the flight, and then we when we woke up when we already landed,
Mm-hmm.
and we look out. To see where we are going to land, and it was just yellow mountains. I mean it was completely different picture. Because in 2000 in 2010 there were quite limited information about Lanzhou in internet, in the western internet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it was just so funny. Because I remember my eyes.
I know. It will kind of like blow your mind. I can't imagine
Yeah, and
that.
also another one moment was I was thinking that China is Buddhist country
Mm-hmm.
and Lanzhou was is a Muslim region
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with many mosques. Oh, that
Mm-hmm.
was the second moment, which was surprise for me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Oh, interesting, interesting. So, how do you see the difference between like Russian and Chinese culture, or more broadly speaking, how do you see the cultural differences then?
Um, I think the main issue for me is the population density,
Mm.
because in my country we have less people, and we have the feeling of the personal boundaries around.
Ah,
We
mm-hmm.
like to keep this space around, and
Distance
we are
keeps
just,
a
yeah,
distance.
this
Mm-hmm.
distance, and we are quite mm, we like to take care of that. So if somebody comes too close, it surprises us.
Uh-huh,
You
uh-huh.
can feel this, but in China you can forget about
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And it took me a certain time to figure out this, because at the
Mm,
very beginning it was nervous for
mm,
me if somebody comes too close, and
mm.
I would like to move, but you have no space where to move, and then that was difficult for me. And the second,
Mm-hmm.
I think I like the way how Chinese people managing the conflicts in this very high density area,
Mm,
or in this situation. Like in some places where a lot of people, of course you can find some conflicts, but
mm,
I like that the people around, they trying to manage it as fast as possible, even they are not satisfied, they just trying to leave it.
mm.
That's also one of the lesson for me.
Actually, I can imagine that maybe someone will approach you, like want to take a photo with you because you have kind of very good looking appearance and you are
Thank
Russian
you.
girl. Yeah. So do you have a been experience? Do you have like this kind of experience, like someone approach you, maybe someone want to take a photo with you, and how do you feel like that about that?
First of all, I had my camera at the very beginning, so I also took pictures of the people, and I was thinking, oh my God, they also want to take a picture. Of course, I will be
Cool.
agree, because I also took a picture of them.
Okay, cool,
So it
cool.
was somehow the mutual benefits.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm trying to, if I'm in a good mood and everything is going well, I'm okay with that. If
Mm,
something like I'm in rush or something like that, I'm just apologize.
mm.
Yeah, but it happens quite often.
Yeah, I
And
know.
now actually in Shenzhen less, but in Lanzhou that was very, very often.
Yeah, I know because most of my foreign friends they always say something like that to me. So I think that could be a problem, but after they get to know the Chinese culture and they just get curious about you, it's not. I don't see it's a impolite way. I just say they just got curious about foreign friends.
I'm
Or
okay with that because I'm also curious about them, especially at the
yeah.
very beginning. So
It's so glad to hear that actually. Yeah. All right. So how do you think we can do as individuals to contribute to resolving misunderstanding due to cultural differences?
I think it should be pointed out. The first one is when we come into different countries, we need to respect this country and
Mm.
respect these people and their traditions. This is the, I think it's important,
Yeah,
the most
indeed.
important.
Yeah, indeed.
The second one, if you're coming to some countries, if you are coming to country for a longer time, I believe you need to learn about its traditions and history and understand
Mm.
how this society live and what
Mm.
is important for them and how they communicated to each other. People in this society communicating to each other. That's um, that's how we can contribute. And the third one, I think um, it's important to have to love this place where you live. For instance, if you're going out abroad and you're supposed to live in some places 1, 2, 3, 4 years, um, it need to build a life, a love. It's about built love, because when I come to Lanzhou, do
Mm-hmm.
not I mean, I love China.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come to Lanzhou in the very beginning, and it's different from Paris or from Milan.
Yeah.
In Paris and Milan, it's easier to fall in love in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to learn how to fall in love in Lanzhou. Do you know, that's different, because in Lanzhou at that time there were not so many educated people. Some
Mm-mm-mm.
people, they didn't wash their hands for a while or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was obvious for me at the very beginning, and it
Mm-hmm.
took me time to understand that if I will not fall in love in this city, I would
Mm-hmm.
not learn Chinese language, and I would it will be just waste of my time, and it will be not good. And then what I did, I tried to look at the best things which I like. So somebody laughed, like smiled to me. Somebody said me compliment, or they trying to help me somehow. So I looked at this side, but I didn't watch it like okay, he didn't watch his, or
Mm-hmm.
something else which like
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
confuse me. And step by step, I was like I built this love to the city, and I saw some cultural things which really like there are so many wonderful mountains in Lanzhou. They have this
Mm-hmm.
amazing Huanghe River culture which has
Mm-hmm.
5,000 years, and so on. So I just opened step by step other things, and they were so rich. Do you know, I because I didn't see them in the very beginning, because I look at the maybe at the dirty hands, and I was focusing on them. But then when I was forgetting about the things which I didn't like, and I looked at the things which I like, it opened up more interesting things for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we need to, even the places which confusing you in the very beginning, but you know that you need to live there, you need to build your life there. So just not focus on what is confusing you, but focus on what makes your connection and relationship with this place.
Great idea. Great idea. Because I think by resolving misunderstanding because of the cultural difference, it's a quite long way to go, I think. But yeah, you are right. We have to like do it like step by step. Maybe just start with maybe try to understand, try to connect to the local people, and try to
Yeah.
know what kind of situation they are in, so you can understand what they are facing and what kind of situation they are in. They could be help. They could help. So thank
I can
you.
tell you,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can
Go
tell you,
ahead.
I met in Lanzhou so great, kind people.
Mm-hmm.
Lanzhou changed my mind a lot.
Wow. Cool.
It
Cool.
changed. I just we have quite limited time, but Lanzhou changed my life, and I'm very thankful for being in Lanzhou. And
Mm-hmm.
just it gave me opportunity to see that things maybe which I would not see in Milan or Paris.
Wow. That's so cool. It's so glad to hear that, Dalia. It's quite very
It's
inspiring.
just
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
different beauty of the life, what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Okay, so let's move to the final part, quick Q&A. So basically, Dalia, I will ask you some question, but I won't like give you lots of like follow up question. You just give me like simple answers. Shall we start?
Yeah,
Okay, so the first question: what is good architecture for you?
I think that which is have relationship with the local nature, with local society, and which considers the local materials, which considers the local problems. Um, every place has its own good architecture. It's not, you can't use the same project in every places.
Great. So second question: what does architecture mean to you?
Oh my God, I love this. It's just something, architecture is an art, and it's a big, large scale art, and it shapes the people's lives. And different types of the architecture give you a different type of lifestyle. So that's why some great architects, they have a huge influence on the way how people lives, and they open mind of the people. They can give the different understanding on how to use the space, and maybe to give new ideas how to communicate with other people. So that's it's a huge topic, and
Yeah, I know.
in every place they have their own wisdom of building their cities. In every place, in China, in Russia, in Arabic countries, in US, and in Europe, it's just endless topic.
If you were to give one tip to someone wanting to, study architecture, what would you say?
They need to spend like a lot of time to do this, because architecture is required a lot of knowledge, and I think they need to participate as much as possible in different projects,
Okay.
to work with different especially in the very beginning. It's just as much as possible to participate in projects and find some great leaders for themselves, to
Okay.
go following them.
Okay. So, which architect has had the most profound impact on your career and why?
I think you are asking about the great architects, and when I was thinking about this question, I think it's my professor Sunemin and Professor Zhang Chunyan. Do you know, you can I always like Oscar Niemeyer. He was a Brazilian socialist architect, and he's just great. He has a fantastic architecture which he built in 1960s, and he built this new capital for Brasilia, which calls Brasilia, the capital. It's a beautiful architecture, and this person used to live 102 years, and even at 100 years, he built a wonderful architecture which looks like space shuttle. So, but this person is far away. I don't know, like I can like his architecture, but I think it's important to have somebody which like for instance, Professor Sunemin and Professor Zhang Chunyan. There's lifestyle, there's work style, everything just gave me inspiration how to work, how to contribute your life to this, to your profession, and many things. So I think these two persons, they were important. um, they had a great impact
Impact.
on my career, not
Okay.
just by being my supervisors, but by the example of their lives. Especially Zhang Chunyan, she's a woman. She's scientist, she's a practical architect, she's working in university, but she's also mother, and she also has family. Do you know, I have no family, and for me, when I see that someone can manage all these things,
All of the stuff. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so if you could say one thing to yourself 10 years ago, what would you say to her?
I was thinking many times that maybe I did some mistakes, I didn't do something right or something like that. But then I was thinking, okay, I was done with PhD and I was done with postdoc, which was not all people did.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think maybe that was okay what I did. Maybe not perfect 100%, but if I will do it in different way, and I'm worried that I cannot finish my PhD. So that's why maybe I will just say do it as it was. I was thinking about that before.
Very enough, very enough. So the last question, not question, I think, just recommend like three books that have influenced your life and tell us why.
Um, I love so much one writer. Her name is Ayn Rand. I don't know, did you read her? Fountainhead. I will send you the
Yeah, yes,
name.
please. Yes, please.
I read her when I was in Moldova, and the first book which she wrote, it was Fountainhead. Fountainhead, and it was about two architects. That's why the friend of mine recommended me to read it.
Mm.
And it was about two architects. One of them was uncompromising. He was just had his vision about the architect and architecture, and the second one was following the client, following the trends, following the everything. So he was just not using his personal ideas, but more like what everybody wants to see from him. And this is very interesting book which shaped my mind. It has a huge impact. Then I was decided, okay, I should be following my heart and do what what I think I need to do. And my suggestion is to read her books, because she had some interesting points. She's writing about the rational thinking, and I think I'm quite rational thinking person.
Okay. Great, great. Thank you, Dalia, for sharing your story and experience. You're such an inspiration, and I wish you all the best in your life and work afterwards. And thank you for being my guest on my podcast. Thank you again.
Lynn, I just want to tell you, I
Mm,
wish that your project will have a great future. And I
thank
know
you.
that the time when I met you, I was happy to see that you're very young, and you were in a great you have a great work experience. You met such successful people. I'm not like most
Thank you.
successful, but
Oh
you
my
you
God.
you you
Mhm.
studied, you had the experience to work with very, very successful top lead
Oh,
level
thank you
people
so much.
in
You're
China.
so
And
sweet. Hmm.
I know that you have knowledge which you can share with the people, and I believe that you will do it very, very well. And I'm very thankful for this opportunity, because these questions help me to think about many things, and going back 12 years ago, which very important.
Thank you, Dalia. Thanks for your kind words. It's really pleasure to talk with you, and I wish we can have more time to talk. But yeah, maybe we can
Welcome
talk.
to Nantou.
Yeah, I wish I can go. Once I got a chance, I will go. So thank you, Dalia, again. So all right, everybody. So that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment and share it with hashtag Let Us Spark. Thank you so much, Dalia, and talk to you next